Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it might be in your part of the world. I hope you had a good Christmas. It's all over until next year. Still got a little bit of festivities to go, depending on what you do in your neck of the woods. But welcome to episode 195 of the Pro Synth Network show live. Blimey, another year is coming to an end. And if you believe in all that kind of cyclical rubbish, who knows what might be just around the corner. I just think it's tomorrow. And it's no different. And it's just another day. But that's just grumpy old man syndrome. But we have a great show for you today because there's been very little, if any, news in the last week. So what we tend to do on this show is we do our Pro Synth Network Awards of the year. It's nothing fancy. So don't get too excited. There are no physical trophies to be won, although we do contact all the winners and say you won our XYZ, and most of the time they are very appreciative of it. And of course, you guys and girls and everything in between have been contributing to the process through the Facebook page where we put 3 polls up, and a lot of you decided to join in and give us some of your suggestions and vote for others that you thought were worthy. And we will use those to inform our final decision. And I'll explain the rules as loose as they are to you shortly. But before we do, yes, it's housekeeping time. So let's just make sure that you like the show or dislike the show. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever you feel is most appropriate. That would be fantastic. If you want to comment on the show live, do so over there with the chat on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and now apparently on X. If you are watching us on X, formerly known as Twitter, your comments underneath the video that's being broadcast on there will come through to us. We will see them. So if somebody wants to test that out for us, you have to comment on the actual video tweet or X. What do they call them now? They're not tweets. Your X's. I don't know. Whatever that is. You know what to do. You're all social media savvy. Anyway, we're also on Instagram, and we're across all of those networks, as you can see there. And the handle is exactly the same. It is at ProSynth Network. So if you want to engage with us over there, that would be fantastic. We also have just opened up our Threads account, which of course is a division of Instagram. You thought, well, spread yourself around, and you might get some engagement. But we don't do much on those social media, apart from Facebook and YouTube. The rest is just kind of like, maybe we will do something. I don't know. Throughout the show, if you have a question or comment to make regarding the things that we are discussing, then please prefix your comment with a big capital Q. We use the Q for question, but of course you might just want to make a point about something. But there you go. So if you can do that, that would be fantastic. And that's the housekeeping out of the way for this week and, of course, this year, because this is the last show of the year. So strap yourselves in, kiddies. So before we get on with the business of the day, which is choosing our top 5 production tools, top 5 plugins and top 5 hardware synths, because that's pretty much all we can squeeze into 2 hours, and just talk around all of that. Let's meet my fellow co-hosts for the evening. As per usual, we have Mr. Andrew opening his bottle of beer.
Oh no!
Bottle of gear.
Bottle of gear.
Bottle of gear. How are you? Did you have a good Christmas?
It was a very quiet one. We were both, like many seem to have been, lots of people ill. It keeps coming back and biting us a bit. So we've had a very quiet one, but it's been good. It's been nice just to spend the time together. We have managed to do a little bit of playing, a bit of preset creation, and dealt with a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't quite the fizzy dizzy whirl that sometimes these things can be, for which I was very grateful. What about you? Did you have
Yeah, mine was very quiet, and we just had a few gifts. We kind of, as a wider family, we've kind of decided just to keep our gift buying to immediate. So children and parents and that kind of stuff, and we don't go for the big thing. So it means the times are hard at the moment. So it just makes it for a little bit more, a little less commercial, a little less. What's the word I'm looking for?
Shite.
No, it's just not so. It's like my eldest came over with his missus yesterday, and we did the whole gift exchange thing, and they handmade every gift to us, and they were just little things. I got a little toolbox, but it was a mini toolbox for all those tiny little screws and things, and it was made from 3 Altoid tins, those kind of things, but painted and stuck together, and it was brilliant, and it was one of the coolest little gifts I got. So it's yeah.
And do you want to know what I got? Do you want to know what I got you?
Sweet FA.
No, I got you a couple of hours with Mr. Kent Spong.
What?
I just love sitting.
What?
Can't hear you, mate.
You can't hear me?
No.
I can.
Yeah, we can. Sorry.
I can't.
Got you again, mate. Got you again.
I'm going round your house. I'm going to smack you in the mouth, mate. You want to see the tyre marks down the side of my Mustang?
That was fun. I have to say, that was
nuts.
fun.
It was nuts.
Yeah, no, that was good fun. For those that aren't following, Kent and I play Gran Turismo with our VR headsets and our steering wheels, and we had a proper go at it. We tried to get Ty involved, but Ty's pretty poor at it. In fact, he's that poor that he hasn't completed enough of the game to open up the multiplayer section.
No, he had to do the special part of the game where you sit in the car park eating hot dogs.
That would be.
Indeed.
I'd be still trying to get into the car park.
They don't allow these boy races in, you see, with their electric Porsches and all that kind of stuff. Bless him. Anyway, Kent, good evening. How was your Christmas?
Small and quiet, and also like yourself, we kept the gifts to immediate. So it was. I got presents. That's about it, really.
What about the dogs? Did they get presents?
Oh God, they've got more than me and Fiona did.
Yeah, absolutely. My cats, yeah,
tons
of shit.
Oh, did they go for
Bless
it?
them.
Yeah, bless them.
Good,
they helped themselves to a few presents as well.
As they do.
There was a lovely panettone on the table. That's
not for long.
Yeah, got sort of like bite marks in it. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. God, then you. That's yours now.
Yeah. We'll have to dish that out to them, but a little bit each day. You can't have all of that at once.
No.
Little buggers. Anyway.
Do you like those panettone? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Jolly good. Well, welcome one and all, and to everybody that's in the chat. I hope you all had whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate, whatever happened last week. I hope it was a really good one.
Yeah.
So I hope you had some lovely time off. For me, that's the lovely part, is just like not having to wake up for anything. Like, there's no deliveries, there's no this, there's no that. Apart from my daughter, who sadly has had to go to work for most of it. But
poor thing.
Yeah, tragic.
I remember those years.
Yeah, exactly. No, you don't have to get. Yeah, I know. I did that for I worked in retail for, I don't know, best part of 20 odd years, so I know exactly where you're coming from, and I've earned my break. But it's been lovely to actually go to bed at whatever silly time I decide, or whatever silly time Kent decides to keep me up to in his pubs.
I saw last night you were up till God knows
3:30. 3:30.
Yeah, about 3:30.
My head hit the pillow at 5 to 4. And I was up at about 10 doing chores. I was going down the bottle bank, which of course this time of year is a mission in itself. But yeah, it was. So yeah, I've got to now start filling it up again. But yeah, no, it's just lovely to wake up when you wake up, not when a machine tells you to wake up or job demands you to wake up. So yeah, I like that whole family, just quiet, no demands. But there you go. It's all over soon. But of course, we have got today's business to take care of, and then we've got the New Year celebrations, if you celebrate that as well. So that'll be nice. And before we do any of that, blimey, it's going crazy here. So Andrew Brooks for the Berlin Fund, book me a seat too, mate. You've got to come. You've got to come. I spent part of last night on Kent's pub looking at hotels and getting all excited and getting everything ready to book. So yeah, I'm looking very much forward. But thank you for that. To John Simpson for the Benevolent Fund for 2024. Thank you very much. That will be used very wisely. And to Bostic247, a very appropriate 2024. That actually doesn't affect my OCD. Because there's a reason for it. Thank you, PSN team.
Well done, man. Thank you so
much. Look forward to
excellent.
another year. Well, we look forward to another year of you joining us. To Synchrotron, 10 quid. Thank you for the great content this year. Well, you're more than welcome. I'm glad you think it's great, because I often sit here worrying that the things that we do maybe aren't, but you all keep coming back for more.
It's amazing how much you can get in a septic tank, really, isn't it?
I know, isn't it? Yeah. ASF Stripe, of course, is our lovely David Surchek,
Thank you, David.
who is owned by Cleo the cat, and thank you for your $4.99. That is very generous of you. And of course, our very own Matt Evans for another awesome PS year, £5. Thank you, and I hope your soldering today was safe, productive, and successful.
It was.
Good. Oh, there you go. That's good.
And the Penguin of Death wishes
Penguin
you.
of Death.
Very well indeed.
He hasn't met the
So there
frog
we go.
yet, has he?
No, the frog of...
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's not for this show, is it?
That's not for this show, no.
No. Move on.
No.
Move on. Anyway, so let's do this, and let's make sure that I'm all up to date in that department there. Thank you to everyone in the chat, especially if you've been here for the whole year or maybe more. Thank you for your patronage. It is extremely welcome. We love you for it. We do this for you guys. And what more can I say? And we'll save all those other pleasantries to the end of the show. We might get a bit emotional. So there we go. That is everything there. Matt says, yep, soldering went well. Didn't kill it or melt anything either. So that's always good news.
Cool.
Well done. Don't know why that's come up there. Right. Okay. So let's crack on. So what we've got for you today is our annual PSN awards. Okay. We have 3 categories. Otherwise, we would just end up being on here for hours and hours and hours. We came up with this idea a few years ago to just pick some of our favourite things from the year, and then the way this works. So let me explain this to you. It's fairly simple. I think it's pretty easy to follow. So we have 3 categories. We have top 5 hardware synths, top 5 plugins, which could be instruments or effects or utilities or whatever, and then top 5 music production tools. And that was our kind of like, what do we call the everything else category? And it's that. Otherwise, we would have maybe the top 5 doors and the top 5 mixers and the top 5 monitors, and we could just be here forever. So we just lumped it into 3 basic categories. And there are no other real rules other than the product has got to have been released in 2023. We can make an occasional exception here or there if something was maybe released at the end of 2022 but actually didn't start shipping until 2023. We might bend it slightly. It's really not that strict. But we do like it to be something that came out in 2023. So I think everything's out now. I don't think there's anything else that I'm aware of that's going to slip through between now and Monday. So that's it really. Hardware synths, music production tools will cover things like DAWs, drum machines, effects pedals, other controllers, that kind of stuff. Plugins will be instruments and effects, and of course hardware, since it's self-explanatory. And what we do is all 3 of us have come up with a list of our personal favourites of the year. There Doesn't have to be, I've got like maybe 10 in some categories. Andrew's got about 5, and that's what we end up doing is we whittle that down to 5 agreed upon like winners, okay, or shortlist. That's the word I'm looking for. So we agree on a shortlist. So if we all say, for example, let's just pick something at random. Let's just say, okay, Yamaha Montage MAX. If we all say that it was our favourite synth of the year, or one of our favourite synths of the year, we all agree on it, it goes on the list. And then hopefully we'll get just 5. If we get more, then we'll agree to remove 1 or 2, whatever it might be. And then the final decision is which one of those 5 is the winner. The other 4 are just runners up. There's no positions or anything. They're just runners up, but we're looking to just get the number 1. So ultimately, at the end of the show, we will have 1 synth, 1 plugin, 1 production tool, and that'll be it.
And the Genus 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, moving swiftly on. Yeah, the Septic Tank Award, yeah. So what we also would like to do is to take in our audience's thoughts and feelings. And to gain that beforehand, we did set 3 polls over on our Facebook page, which I've got ready to hand. And so I will throw those into the mix at some point. I would suggest that if you make a comment in the chat about choosing your best one, do try and make it quite clear and quite early on, but it gets a little bit confusing. So hopefully you've already made your choice, or you can just kick back, crack open a beer, and watch 3 old farts discuss it and come up with some answers, whichever suits. So without further ado, we're going to kick off. Before we do that, thank you very much, Steve. We all know it'll be a fix. Honestly, there is no fix. We don't get nothing from this other than it kills 2 hours. That's it. So no, there's no fix. There's no predetermined thing. We literally have just. I don't even know what Andrew's chosen. I don't know what Kent's chosen, and they don't know what I've chosen. You can shut up, Longhurst.
All right.
So, right, okay, let's kick off. We're going to kick off with the top 5 music production tools. Now, that can be anything that isn't a hardware synthesizer or a plugin. So, to give you an example, it could be a keyboard controller, or it could be a grid controller, drum controller. It could be a drum machine. It could be a mixer, or a set of speakers, or an effects pedal, or anything like that. So let's go. Longhurst, what have you got in your list for music production tools this year?
This has been a toughie because I had lots in there, and most of them were released a long time ago. So I had, for instance, the Unity plugin, which allows you to... But that's been around forever. I hadn't realised. I'd only discovered it lately. So what I've got are things which I think I've been thinking help the workflow. That for me was the thing. It's about workflow. So I've chosen the NI Control S Series Mark III.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing. I've chosen the Akai APC 64, which we reviewed earlier this year as well, and is a good thing. I'm not sure it's necessarily for us, but it's a really good thing. I've also, because of the changes to it and the user interface, I've chosen Cubase Pro 13. I think it's a really, really good thing. I've also chosen Bitwig Studio, which has been around for a while, but they released the 5.1 version Studio this year.
Okay, yeah.
Which is a good thing. And then lastly, I've got a bit of an odd one, which is...
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, it's like that is. I've put in... You might think this goes into best software plugin, but I've put in Rob Pappen Explorer 9 bundle, primarily because it's got some fantastic effects in there. Absolutely fantastic, that I use all the time.
Okay.
And that's it. That's my choice.
Lovely jubbly. Okay, I've noted those down. Kent.
I've only really got two.
Okay. Lightweight.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, they cross-reference with Andrew with the Cubase 13, although not its first iteration, the second iteration of it, because the first iteration was...
Pants.
Oh dear. Yeah. So once the update came out, it was sort of like, oh, it's supposed to be a door. Right, okay, I get it now. I'm still not entirely sure about this, but I think the Rise 2. I think that's beginning of this year, isn't it?
What didn't we do Rise? Didn't Rise win something last year?
I don't know. What's that? I thought Rise was this year.
I was looking at Rise because I mean they've reintroduced it, haven't they? And just given everything that's going on around,
it must be last year's. It must be last year's. Well, in that case, I'd probably. I mean, if I didn't already have one, I would probably have a Mark III NI complete controller here.
Okay.
To be honest.
So,
it's just that I already. For me, it's not giving me really enough to want going out and get one because I've already got the. Oh, I haven't got the 88 anymore, have I? I got the I got the 61 Mark II, and there's not a huge leap apart from the poly after. And let's face it, I'm not exactly short of poly after in here. So
indeed, or poly before,
or poly before that even. Yes. So I
okay,
those two I think. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So this was what I had on my list in no particular order. Ableton Push 3. I was massively impressed with that, to the point where I did consider separating myself from about 1,600 quid for the standalone version. Given that I'm only really starting just to scratch the surface of Ableton Live, I had so much fun playing that and sat in on a really cool demo at Gearfest this year, and I was very impressed by it. Ableton Push 3. I thought the Teenage Engineering EP133 KO2, to give it its full name, the large pocket calculator. I know that it's had some teething troubles in terms of manufacturing quality, which is odd for Teenage Engineering, but they do seem to be addressing it. But I just thought that was a really, it was a very surprising thing, because Teenage Engineering, of course, we would expect something like that to retail for £25,500. And it was like $399 or something silly, or less, I think. And so, but I thought it was a very nice product at a very, very good price. I agree with both of you on Complete Control Mark III from Native Instruments. A really nice controller. I am semi-sold on the whole NKS thing. I kind of like where that's going. The other thing was the 1010 Music Blue Box for Eurorack. Now, I know I am not Mr. Eurorack, but the Blue Box standalone is such an impressive piece of equipment that to see it in Eurorack with all those ins and outs and that whole kind of digital mixer interface, I thought was a very, very, very clever and astute move from 1010 Music, who seem to be making some brilliant things. I don't know too much about the Hologram Electronics Chroma Console effect pedal, but I know lots of people really like it, and I've listened to the demos and I thought, that sounds rather nice. So I kind of had that in my list, and the last one I had in my list was the brilliant yet slightly expensive Luma 1 drum computer, which is this hand-built replica of the original Lindrum. So that is, and I know I'm maybe, some people might accuse me of being slightly biased because I know the guy that's doing it, and he was telling me about this a few years ago, so it's lovely to see it come to fruition. But to see it actually happen this year, be built, have the price brought down by 500 quid, get the approval of Roger Lynn, is just incredible, and it's a really fantastic piece of gear, although I've not actually laid my hands on one. Everything I've seen about it looks fantastic. No, Behringer didn't already clone the Lindrum. they said they want to, and they threw a picture up, but it's never happened.
There's lots of them.
Yeah.
And do you know what else would have been in this year? But for about 2 or 3 days would have been probably the ELZ1 play.
Yes.
It would, but that's going to be in next year now.
It will. It will be. And as I said to Andrew before we came on air, mine's coming next week. I'm super excited because some of the demos have just been incredible. So that's what I think. And we've had what Kent and what Andrew thinks, but what did our great viewing public think? So I've got the list up here. And let me share that with you because I don't want you to think that I am doing anything underhand here. So I'm assuming you can all see this. So this is for Best Production Tool, and way out in the lead.
Not yet, we can't see it.
Can you not see that yet? Oh,
No,
hang on a minute.
Got it up.
I've heard that before. There we go. So, as I was, now I've lost my page. Oh, there it is. Right. Okay. So, way out in the lead with 30% of the vote is the Ableton Push 3. So, I think I'm in good company there. Second was Reaper 7. And Reaper is a hugely popular and of course incredibly affordable DAW, and Reaper 7 just carries on that tradition. So 18% of you who voted put that into your second place. Bringing up in third was something that has interested me quite a bit, and that was Arturia's Audio Fuse 16, which was this incredibly capable and very lovely looking audio interface from Arturia. So that came in third, and then bringing up the rear, we had Complete Control Mark III at 9%. We had Bitwig Studio, which we've already had mentioned, at 6%. Cakewalk by BandLab. I'm not hugely familiar with Cakewalk because it is a Windows only thing. I don't. Did they actually do anything new this year? Somebody maybe
they are launching. Well, they've launched beta for a new something not called Cakewalk. I can't remember what it's called. I'm on the beta, and I'm on the beta. Sorry.
I think we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
not
cross-platform. That's cross-platform.
Oh, that is, yeah, but it's not out yet, though, is it?
It's not. It's still, as far as I know, it's still in beta.
Okay.
But it's a good thing. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's only on PC. Cakewalk by them.
MPC Live 2. Again, I'm not 100% sure on the timeline on that one. But yeah, MPC Lives. That was an upgrade, wasn't it, to the Live? It wasn't, or was it a new machine? I think it was just an upgrade, wasn't it? Anyway, Cubase 13's in there as well. And Mr. Longhurst, you threw in there the Mac M2 platform.
Yeah. I should have put that on my list as well. But yeah, it's
not the Mac M3.
No, the M2.
Okay.
The M3 is great, but it doesn't really add for audio. It
sure.
doesn't really add anything new.
That's true.
And even the one is, it's pretty good. Okay. But it's stuff that came out this year. It's been a game changer for so many people, and it's made audio production with the kind of tech it has really affordable. For people
absolutely.
Who want to jump in and do significant stuff. So
yeah.
I think it's got to be a contender.
Yeah. So not honestly, I hate it when the chat scrolls up just as you're about to hit the show button. There we go. So this is the Wookiee that actually put this in the poll on there. Cakewalk Sonar and Cakewalk Next are both in public beta. So technically, it's not an official product. So I'm going to rule that we'll consider that one in next year's if it releases next year. We'll stick it into 2024. So we'll discount that as a suggestion. So, but thank you very much indeed. And Wagyu says MPC2 has built-in speakers, and that's it. Okay, fair enough. That's useful. Okay, so that's everyone's had their thing thrown into the ring, shall we say? I think what we can do is we can say that NI's Complete Control Mark III must be on the list because we've all said it and it got a good thing in the public vote. Yeah,
I think it has to be.
Okay, so that one can definitely go in. I think we've also had enough consensus around Cubase. So Cubase Pro 13 on the list, do you think?
Was that, I can't remember, was that higher up or lower down than Bitwig or Reaper? I think Reaper was higher up, wasn't it?
Yeah, Reaper was higher up, but that was...
But let me make a case for Bitwig, because Bitwig did something which we've been talking about a lot this year as well, which is they started doing a cross-platform compliance thing, so you should be able to work with Bitwig, and I can't remember which other platform it is at the moment, but they're trying to create a standard.
Yes.
They're trying to create a standard, a bit like
project standard.
Yeah, a bit like with NKS for
that's
for
right.
sample libraries. They're doing a thing for projects, which for as a production tool going forward, if that takes off, it'll be great. I don't, we haven't really had a chance to play with it, but it did get a decent number of votes.
Yeah.
That
Well, okay. Well, let's put Bitwig 5.1. And we'll also put in Cubase, because I think there's enough lovers of Cubase. And let's put in Reaper, because that got a big vote from the public.
And Ableton has to be in there.
Ableton push 3 over the Akai APC64? I personally think so.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I really like the Akai APC64, but we're talking about what's the best. And with just so much support behind it, it would be... I have to say, all right. And because of you and what's been going on with Ableton, I too have been tempted to jump on board with that for a while now. So anything which has my attention for that long. Yeah.
So we're going to discount, I just want to run these by you, we're going to discount and discard the Teenage Engineering EP133, the Chroma console, which I'm happy to get rid of. I'll just put that in there because I've heard a bit of a buzz about it and thought that was quite nice. The Eurorack Blue Box and the Luma 1 drum computer, the Akai APC64, and Pappen's Explorer bundle.
Yeah.
And as far as the public are concerned, I think, as we said, Audio Fuse from Arturia, that interface, I like it a lot, but I think some of the other things there are much better in terms of production.
I had a look at it, and it's a good thing, but you have to have other things with it to really make it function well. It's expensive. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's good, but in and of itself, you need to have other bits of kit to work with it as well. So it's it's a good thing, but
some people in the chat are mentioning Logic on iOS, which that was this year, and I've never used it.
The same as for Cakewalk, because it was only PC. Logic is only iOS. For me, I mean, it's a good thing.
It's great for the iOS world.
Yeah.
Did we get Cubasis 2 this year?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Which is I've probably got.
Okay.
But Logic is a good thing, but whether or not just for the iPad, I don't know.
I could never find anything in it. You know me.
Okay.
So
I think that we will settle on this final 5 of Complete Control Mark 3, Bitwig 5.1, Cubase 13, Reaper 7, and the Ableton Push 3.
Okay.
That's our 5. Okay, so they're our shortlist. Now, which one of those do you think is the winner of that category, is the best production tool of 2023? I'm going to ask you to choose one for now.
God.
Well, out of all of them, the one that actually has helped me the most is Cubase.
Okay.
I kind of have to go there as well, though I'm tempted by the Push because it's been so universally. Cubase 13 did make a significant leap with its UI, and it did suddenly make stuff a lot easier once it worked.
Put some nice new instruments in it as well.
Apparently your microphone's a bit quiet, Andrew.
Sorry, there we go. Is that better? Is that better? So, Cubase.
Oh,
Okay, so you're going to say Cubase. Okay. I'm. You see, for me,
it's not going to be unanimous, is it?
it's not. So I really like the idea of complete control, and I like the idea of the NKS, although I don't think it's going to succeed as much as Native Instruments would like it to become, an overarching standard. I'm not really into Bitwig. Reaper for me has always been a backup thing. It's never really something I use. Cubase 13, I've heard lots of good things about it, but for me, I was really bowled over by the Push 3, and that would get my vote as the number one. So effectively, we've got 2 for Cubase and 1 for Push.
I still think Push is a good thing, though. I think it's a really good thing. And I, as I said earlier, I've been leaning towards whether or not I jump on board with Ableton. Push 3 was one of the things when we reviewed it that kind of tickled my fancy. So, and as a overall production workflow thing, Push 3 or NI Control.
What really sells me on the Push 3 is not just its workflow, the construction. It's the fact that you've got options. You can buy it as a standalone controller with everything built in, or you can buy it as just the controller and then upgrade it later. And I thought that was a quite ingenious and very bold move from Ableton to get into the kind of computing arena in some description.
Kent,
what?
Would you be persuaded that something other than Cubase might be the best thing, or are we going to go for a fight with flans and custard and rabbits at dawn? I mean, if you still think it's Cubase, and I think it is a good thing, but I'm vacillating between that and Push.
Yeah, I can see where the Push appeal is. See, I'm talking from personal experience, but I haven't had a lot of experience with Push. So, but if you do that, then that's 2-1. So I'm vetoed out anyway. So I don't have to commit.
I still can't bring myself quite to...
Well, we're going to have to, because we don't have all day.
There's one more that we can all just quickly discuss and see whether or not it's getting thrown on the pile. The Control S series Mark III. Now, we know that NKS is something that we're all hoping will be something. It looks like a pretty good controller. It does have poly after. It makes it easy to get involved. And more libraries are joining in the NKS thing. So it has some applicability, and it gives you control over your workflow, whether it's with Reaper or Bitwig or Ableton or any of them. Or so... For me, it's as a piece of hardware that allows you that degree of control. I think, you know what? That's the one. And I love
I'm still
primarily only talks to contact libraries.
But NKS, if a plugin has got NKS format,
yeah,
that will work in.
Yeah. So if anything, it circumvents whatever door you're playing it in, and it's not so much control over the door at all. Apart from maybe I think play, rewind, and fast forward buttons. I think, if I remember rightly.
So shall we discount that for the moment then? Because it's not universal enough, which then brings us back to either Cubase or Push.
We'll go with the Push then.
I think so.
Okay.
Because
Ableton Push 3.
Yeah, Ableton Push 3. I mean, Cubase is just Cubase 12 with a different dress on.
They've added a bit more in there.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. I mean, it's a much more robust dress, but
It is a much more, and in fact, it's a number of
still
different
Cubase.
outfits that you can change very easily rather than having to. So it's a good thing. I like it.
Yeah, because
I think I
we
would.
could
I
argue
mean,
the toss over this for the next hour, and we haven't really got the time to.
Ableton Push 3.
yeah,
There you go.
because I think that was so innovative in that market of, people that use grid controllers, and I'm just a very new person in that arena. I've got 2 or 3 of these things now, and I'm thinking, God, I wish I'd just, maybe gone for the push, because that really could, be an amazing thing. The whole paradigm is next level compared to what we've already got, and I think that the fact that you can get into it at an affordable level, or you can go full, tilt and get the big one, but it doesn't matter if you go at an entry level, because you can upgrade it. And there will be further upgrades, I'm sure. They'll produce boards with faster processors and more RAM, and I'm sure there's a long roadmap. And Ableton don't seem to make too many mistakes. But of course, they've got Live 12 coming out next year, which is going to be very exciting.
There you go.
So, okay, I think do we have a drum roll? We do, and a fanfare. ProSynth Network's best music production tool for 2023 is Ableton's Push 3.
Or GNOS 2.
No. With those that also served, and in no particular order or any order at all, Bitwig 5.1, Cubase 13, Reaper 7, and Native Instruments Complete Control Mark 3. They get best in class. So yes, they get honourable mentions in dispatches. So there we go. Thank you very much indeed. That's killed a little bit of time. So there we go. Ableton Push 3 gets that one. Right, so next one. This is going to be, I think I'm not looking forward to this one, but in a way I am looking forward to it, because there's been so much good stuff. And this is top 5 plugins. So the criteria here is it's just got to be a software plugin, and it can be an instrument, it can be an effect, it can be a utility or whatever. Now, I looked through my list, and virtually all of them are instruments, but I'm hoping that we're going to have some other suggestions. And of course, we do have what the public chose, and I'll bring that up onto screen shortly. But let's start off with Mr. Spong this time.
Oh, right.
What have you got for your top plugins of 2023?
There was a couple of bloody things I was looking at that was sort of like, it's driving me insane. No, actually, go to Robbie, because I'm still confused. Go to Robbie. Go to Andrew. See how confused I am calling him.
No, he went first last time. It's not fair.
That's
I
all
don't
right.
care.
I'll go first. No, I'm going to pull rank it.
Go for
I'm
it.
going first.
Go for
all right,
it.
you go
Okay.
first.
So this is quite a list I've got here. Sorry, I just got some ice. Okay, it's gone now. So it's been an absolutely incredible year for software plugins this year. I think maybe what we've seen this year has been the fruit of many COVID enforced hours in bunkers producing brilliant software plugins. But anyway, let's move on to what we've got, or what I've got in my list. So 2 from GeForce. GeForce's Oberheim OBX and their Mini Monster 2, which I thought the Mini Monster 2 just incredible, and the OBX is just lovely. It's just so nice and so good. So those are the 2 from that. Now, Cherry Audio, who are very good friends, but that bears no influence on our choices here today. They had a stellar year, and I could have put down everything that they did this year, because I don't think they missed a single beat. But I had to pick 1 or 2, and so I picked 2. And I almost went for Harmonia, and the one I went back to Mercury 6 and thought, I've forgotten all about Mercury 6, and I had a bit of a love fest with it, because they've released so much since Mercury 6 that And then I thought, actually, Mercury 6 really does push my buttons. And there is no other Jupiter 6 plug-in out there at the moment, I believe. So Mercury 6 and then Pro Soloist, which was the one that really surprised me. It was the one that I was least looking forward to, I think, but most surprised by in terms of how powerful you can make this thing that's based on something that's really essentially quite small and limited. So yeah, Cherry Audio's Pro Soloist and Mercury 6. So that's that and that. The other one that really impressed me, and we've already had the hardware version of it last year, but this year we finally got Mini Freak V from Arturia. And Mini Freak, whether it's hardware or software, is a chuffing incredible synthesizer. It's one of my most favourite things. I love this thing, and the software version is no different. It's sonically identical. It's brilliant, and the fact that, you know, Arturia had the courage to put out a full version of one of their hardware synths, not 6 months after releasing the hardware, I thought was a brilliant idea. So that's on there. And others that I think were really good were Softtube's Model 80. I thought that was very nice. That was their Prophet 5 clone. I thought that was very nice. IK Multimedia's Pianoverse kind of came and just kind of slid under the radar, but there's some really lovely pianos, really lovely effects in there, so I really like that. I thought the Rhodes V8 Pro, although rather expensive for a single instrument plug-in that, you know, apart from applying a few effects, is just a Rhodes piano, but it's so well done and so detailed. I thought that was very good. Baby Audio's BA1, which is their CSO1 clone, I thought was rather fantastic. And then there was one effects thing in there, although it's actually a collection of effects, and that's Arturia's FX Collection 4, which just continues to grow and become this wonderful package. And normally I would, in this category, I would be voting for V Collection if a V Collection came out in the year, and it did. But V Collection 10 left me feeling a little bit, is that all you're going to put in there? Okay, fair enough. So that's not even on my list this year. So they were my ideas. Over to you.
Kent, do you want to go next?
Yeah, okay then. Okay. The ones that spoke to me the most, right? The Cherry Audios, whatchamacallit, the Pro Soloist.
Pro Soloist, yeah.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that a lot. It wasn't like it was a huge thing, but what it did, it was doing nice. You know, it was lovely. And, yeah, I like using that one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, where was it? Yeah, you got to like that OBX, haven't you?
Yeah.
How GeForce's OBX. I mean, it's quite the girl. It was kind of a similar experience to getting the OBE when she came out. And it's definitely got that classic sound in it, hasn't it? It's it nailed it. Another one, yeah, this is an eyebrower. It's the XLN Life.
Okay. Yeah, that's fairly recent.
Yeah, and I'm really, really liking it.
Oh.
And
Excellent, is some good stuff.
Yeah, but I shouldn't be liking it, but I am.
Have you used it with a mobile or anything else? Have you got it on any other devices? So
my intentions are to bring it into here and use it in anger. I think it's because it thinks up stuff I wouldn't have thought of. And I can decide to keep or dispel whatever it comes up with, but sometimes it just comes out and go, oh yeah, no, that's much nicer, I love that, I use that, thank you, you know. And so I've been having good giggles with that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I want to like the PS3300, but I've heard a real one. And
So
hearing the
have I.
real ones, yeah, I'm not getting the vibe from it.
No.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I liked it. But I liked other things more. But it's great that we have it. I think it's great that it exists. Finally, we have.
Yeah, oh no! Don't get me wrong. It's just that I was going. No, not really. I don't know. That sort of instrument, it's more of a, it's the experience of being in front of one.
Yeah, no, I get
that I'm not getting from the plugin. So, but
Anything
it's still
else?
brilliant. It's still brilliant. No, I pretty much dried up after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Some very good suggestions there. Andrew.
Well, I have to go along with Robbie on the XLN Audio Life. It
Wasn't me.
it's
Was
a
it?
good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing, and it's just really different, and I like the way it engages. You can engage with it no matter where you are and bring it into your workflow, and it does things. When Ty and I were talking, when we were talking with Ty about it, it does replicate some of what both he and I, and I'm sure both of you have done at times, where you take snippets of things and you put them in, and it's a real pain in the arse, and it's actually a happy accident when you find the right sort of thing, because you're putting snippets in and trying them out and reordering it. It does all that. That's great. I loved it. So it was a really different thing. So I quite like that. I absolutely love the GeForce M-Tron 4. I think it's such a different interpretation of it, and it's so simple, but it gets you really gnarly really fast, and it's again, it's a unique instrument. No one's done quite what they've done, and that's what's driving me with this list. It's kind of what are people doing that's different. So I've got UVI Falcon 3.
Yeah.
It's just a mad piece of software. I love it.
Yeah, the additions in version 3 were fantastic.
Really,
they don't do
really
things
good.
by halves, do they? No.
Really, really good. I've also got the Spitfire Audio BBC Symphony piano, just because I loved the sound of it. I loved the way it they did a really good job with that. And there are other pianos. It's about personal preference, I think, with pianos.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved the sound of it. Then there's Arturia Pigments 4 as a collection, which is a good thing. And then I come to the last two. I think Cherry Audio have knocked it out of the park this year. I
Absolutely.
really do.
Yep.
But I've not gone for the ones that you have, and in fact, the two top of my list are the PS 3300, because I have used it. I did own one, and I keep coming back to it and playing with it, and it does things that nothing else does, and I just love it. I think they've done such a good job with it, and the fact that you've got the two filters, which is the MS-20 as well as the original, it does remind me of working with the real thing. It's one of the very few plugins where I'm not having a problem, because I forget it, because I know. I forget I'm doing a screen thing, because I know the interface well, and I got back into it really quickly. But I understand that it's not for everyone, but I love it. I think they've done a great job, and it's sitting in a number of things that I'm working on at the moment. And then lastly, the last one is also Cherry Audio, and it's the Octave Cat.
Yeah, another great.
I absolutely adore it.
Yeah.
And I like the Pro Soloist, and I like the GX8, and I like the Mercury, and I like Harmonia, and I like Signs, and I like all of those. But the Octave Cat is it's got a sound that I just absolutely adore, and no one else has done it. No one else has done it.
And the fact that Cherry Audio it's licensed, it's authorised to bear the Octave Cat name, and one would presume that that's the first of a number of things that maybe will come out under that brand. I think that's great for them. No, I agree. You really are sport for choice this year with Cherry Audio, and even GeForce as well.
With all of them, but
some
GeForce
great
has
stuff.
done some great ones. Cherry Audio.
Wow. So thank you for that. Before we have a quick look at what the great Unwashed thought of it all, I jest. Talking great Unwashed, I can't. How can you say that about Ollie? If you haven't already watched Ollie's new video with Simon, do so. Do it now. If one of the moderators will be so kind as to post that link into the chat, I don't even mind if you go away from the show for 3.5 minutes. Watch it. It's amazing. It's funny as hell. And it is, as Ollie says, it's his finest piece of work, and he's out and he's done. He can't do much better than that. It's brilliant. Go and watch it. It's great fun. Thank you ever so much for your support this year, as always, Ollie. And thank you for your €10. Merry Synthmas to you as well. And the great legend, the man mountain that is Carl Bedford, who I cannot wait to see again at Super Booth next year. Happy New Year, everyone. Great community. Thanks, PSM. Vamos. Brilliant. Thank you guys for those wonderful donations. Looking forward to seeing you all next year. Thank you. Andrew has posted the link to the video. It's there. It's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And apparently he's washing right now, so that's good. And that's put images in my head that I will not be able to get out for a little while. So, moving swiftly on, let's see what the great British public, or should I say our PSN audience, said about best plugin of 2023. Make sure I press the button. I'm flipping between all sorts of different things here. Right, okay, so way out in the lead by over 57% exactly. G-Force's Oberheim OBX. Lovely thing. Pulling up in second place is the Cherry Audio PS3300. That's getting a sizable number of votes. And the Pro Soloist, as I would have expected, is up there with 10% in third place. Mini Monster, I'm assuming that's Mini Monster 2, Marky Barnes, and we've got some news from Marky Barnes coming up. It's about the only bit of news that we've got this week, so don't let me forget to tell you all about that. 6% there for Mini Monster 2, and then sort of filling in the spaces, we've got the Softube Model 80, the Baby Audio BA1, all picking up 1s and 2s. Simplant 2, that was a very interesting plug-in, that got 2% of the vote. UAD's D-Chorus, Dimension D-Chorus. Halion 7 was an interesting one. Spitfire Abbey Road 2, Iconic Strings Pro. And there was a 4% vote for the Yamaha Chinos Cha-Cha Merengue pack. Thank you, Steve, for your light-hearted entry there. So I think what we can take from that is that we all agreed, I think, on actually, no, Andrew didn't, because he's a knob. He didn't agree on OBX, but there was an overwhelming choice of OBX in the public, and I did and Kent did, so that's probably got to be considered. I think Pro Soloist did, and PS3300 will probably need to be considered as well. I think the rest of those there were so low that they probably can easily be ignored.
Mini Monster?
So, Mini Monster 2. So, okay, well, let me just see here. Let me just, I need to make notes here. So we're going to go, we're thinking about shortlisting OBX and Pro Soloist and Cherry Audio PS 3300 and G-Forces. This is looking decidedly like a two-horse race here at the moment. But that's not a bad thing. But I think it's testament to what these two companies have achieved just this year. Right, okay. So let me stop that, and we can come back here. Lots of things being sort of bandied around in the chat, and I'm afraid that it's kind of like, there's nothing there that's really grabbing me and say, oh my god, we completely forgot about this or that. There's lots of sort of smaller niche plugins that are there are so many, there are absolutely so many. I mean, Falcon 3, I don't really know why I didn't put Falcon 3 on my list. I think it's because it's an update, but it's a great update, but it wasn't something that's brand new, so I guess I might have just ignored it for that. Okay, so Kent said Pro Soloist OBX and XLN Life. You said XLN Life as well, Andrew. And
I said 3300.
Yeah.
And M-Tron. whereas everyone else has gone for the Obi.
The Obies and the Mini
Obi
Monsters.
plugin, it's a good plugin, but you know,
It's really between GeForce and Cherry, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
At the end of the day.
I'm just looking through Arturia Mini Freak V. Is that significant enough? Did that? I mean, as a synthesizer, whether it's hardware or software, it's a brilliant synthesizer.
As hardware, I think it's
Hardware is amazing. Yeah.
Actually, I kind of like Ragu's suggestion of a joint award for Cherry and GeForce.
Do you know that is?
We'd have to have
not-
2 awards made.
Yeah,
Not really making.
yeah, we would.
You've got enough crayons.
Yeah. All right. No, that is. I mean, I think it would.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
It would recognise both companies
Equally.
as achieving as much as they've done this year, because we all know people in those companies, and therefore it's not a favourites thing. We know the work these people put in and the effort that goes into it, from the likes of the people that design the code, like people like Hugo at GeForce, who has done such an incredible job of getting their code base so much better. Not that it was bad in the first place. It was. Even Dave would say himself that Hugo has turned their fortunes around. The work that Jerome puts in over at GeForce is incredible. I have, his communication is fantastic. The effort he puts in is great. And Graham Rawson and the whole team at GeForce, developers, sound designers, people. They rope in Alex Ball and Jamie from GeoSynth and others to do some amazing presets. And then we go to Cherry Audio, and you've got the likes of Mitchell with his UI design, and then you've got Mal, who does the amazing 3D graphics. You've got Dan, who's so passionate about everything that they do. You've got the sound designers, the 2 Jameses, and of course, James Dyson, who's in our chat at the moment, is doing some amazing stuff for them, and a bunch of other people as well. They're really good people, and they're really passionate, and they have been really successful this year, and I couldn't be happier for both of them. So I think maybe.
So do we instead make the category best software plugin company, and it's a joint award to both?
Well, no, I think we should pick an instrument. I think we should.
Here, look.
Okay.
It takes it out of our hands, right? This is really simple, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What we do is this. The first person to write in GeForce or Cherry into the chat determines the winner.
Oh no! I like the idea of joint.
No.
I like
And then
the
it's
joint.
a fight to the death with big sticks.
So okay, let's choose an instrument, but then we weren't going to do this, but let's do a separate best software plugin company of the year as a separate award, which we've never done before, because both of those companies have given so much, done so much. The people in them are extraordinary, and they've also been really good friends to the show in terms of making themselves available, explaining what's going on, and they've both of them delivered products that are quite wonderful and unique, and they both deserve that.
And no, I don't disagree at all with the joint award. I'm perfectly happy to give a joint best plugin award to Cherry Audio and to GeForce Software, but I do think we should pick one of their synths to win it, and then the other ones can be in the also rans, the honourable mentions. That's what I want to avoid making up categories on the spot.
Well, I know.
3. I'm happy with 3. Don't mess with the 3. No.
Oh God, the OCD's kicking in.
Yeah.
So how about the
So
Cherry
can't be only
Audio?
one.
How about the Cherry Audio M-Tron 4? Or the GeForce PS3300? How about?
Well, if you were going to ask me, okay, so if you're going to ask me which is the best GeForce and the best Cherry Audio to win that joint award, I would say, oh God, it's difficult, isn't it?
I like what Matt's saying.
What's Matt saying?
The OBX and the Pro Solos.
Yeah, that's
For each one. Or actually, based on the public, the
PS3300
3300 for Cherry, and the OBX for GeForce.
And I think that would be that's a good place to go. So it's between those two.
Yeah, and then second place is the
so the joint winners of top software plugin for 2023 will be GeForce Software with OBX and Cherry Audio with the PS3300, and that is the winner.
Yay!
So that means, therefore, that we have space, because we've done that. We've made room underneath for another one, and I think this is so. I'm just going to pick one.
Okay.
Of all the ones that we've mentioned, I think that along with the Pro Soloist, Mini Monster 2, and XLN Life,
Mtron.
I want to go UVI Falcon 3, even though it wasn't on my list.
Do you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right.
Because I still think it is, pound for pound, the very best software instrument plugin that you can buy, and it has been the very best for a number of years. And it just, the update was so big and so lovely and free. The update was free.
I'll be in the car.
So yeah.
What do you reckon, Kent?
I'm in the car. All yours. With that. I will go with that. I will go with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just to reiterate, the winner of our award for best software plugin of 2023 is a never before done joint award to GeForce Software with their OBX and Cherry Audio's PS3300.
Yes.
And honourable mentions for this year go to Cherry Audio again for their Pro Soloist, to GeForce again for their Mini Monster 2, to UVI for Falcon 3, and to XLN for Life. Is it just Life or Life something else?
It's audio, XLN Audio Life.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a mad thing.
Bringing up the rear.
Because I'm just remembering that you must have talked about that on the show when I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Ty.
Yeah.
Who was... Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's it, ladies and gents. So it's 8:10 here in the UK. We're whizzing through. I hope that you're enjoying this so far. We have one more category to go, and this is probably going to be the most contentious, I think. I don't know, maybe not. But we're now bringing ourselves round to the top 5 hardware synths. But before we do, let's have a little bit of news. There was one piece of news, and if I don't do this, he'll send his wife round and she will kill me by extracting my gentleman's vegetables and sautéing them and then feeding them back to me, because that's the kind of hard lass she is. Hard lass. I think we all know who we're talking about. Mr. Mark Barnes. I don't know if he's in the chat. And his lovely wife Cheryl, who's amazing. She's such the most gentlest soul in the world. An absolute barrel of laughs as well. She won't sauté my gentleman's veggies. But Mark, so this is quite an interesting story. I don't mind telling it. I don't mind embarrassing or being embarrassed again. So Synclavier Regen. I wonder if that made my list of best hardware synths of 2023. Wait to find out. So, as you will all know, quite infamously, Synclavier are incredibly generous, and they sent me a Synclavier Regen, but I had 2 weeks with it. That's my excuse. I only had 2 weeks with it. So we did a bit of a rush job. I'd say I did a bit of a rush job. I don't want to apportion blame to anybody else but myself. And I did this video, and it was a live unboxing and a cold unboxing. Had no idea what we were doing. And boy, did it show. And it kind of became the stuff of legends for a little while. But anyway, I was then allowed to take the Synclavier Regen back with me after Synthfest and spend a bit more time with it. And to be honest, I was a little scared of going back in and to do all that stuff. But I had a play around, and I sort of started to enjoy it a little bit. And then Craig from Synclavier said, would you mind packaging it up and sending it up north to Scotland? And I said, Rick, is it that awful that you're excommunicating it to the land of the Scots? He said, no, there's a lovely man up there called Mark. I said, what, Mark Barnes? He said, yes, do you know him? I said, know him? Yeah, I've hung out with him. I've drunk beers with him. I've had dinner with the guy. He wants to have a go at making some... Together. He said he wants to have a go making some presets. And I thought I could think of no finer person to have a go with this and maybe crack it. And crack it he has, because he has just released his first bank of third-party presets for the Synclavier regen. It's called Clavier Creations. It's £7.99, which is ridiculous. There are 20 performance-ready sessions, which are these multi-performances, 42 single timbres, 5 custom drum loop samples, 11 custom EDM bass sample loops, 6 custom multi-sampled instruments, and all of the samples are self-produced and royalty-free. Introductory price of $7.99 until the end of January 2024, when it then goes up to the whopping $9.99. Which is still a bargain. Wow. So, Mark Barnes, first of all, big round of applause for Mark Barnes for producing sounds from the Synclavier region, because I can tell you it's no mean feat. So he's done that, and he pinged me earlier today and said, would you mind giving me a bad? Absolutely not. Anything that Mark does, we put on here. So if you are lucky enough to be a Synclavier region owner, third-party sounds, there you go, right there. Have a look. Yeah, he should have taken samples from Robbie's unboxing video and used it as a patch. No. He wants to sell these things.
You've got to admit, though, $9.99 is quite a lot. I mean, you can literally buy a house in Scotland for that.
Yeah, it's true. And if you're lucky, you end up living next to Mark and Cheryl.
There you go, then.
So, yeah. And of course, Cheryl was responsible for the picture that I got the most questions about from my wife. Because she was draped all over me at the Synthfest, the post-Synthfest meal this year. Who's that? What's her name? Where'd she come from? Yeah. Scotland, and she'll kick your head in.
Yeah,
take you outside for a bulky.
Take your wee head.
Hey.
So there you go, Mark Barnes. Thank you very much indeed. There you go, dutifully plugged. Although also, we haven't really got time to go through it, but there is a 20-minute demo video just there,
which is very good.
So yeah, it takes you through all the patches. I believe.
Slightly more action in it than the last one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slightly more competency using the regen than.
Come on,
than the one
you saw that System 55 unboxing I did. Holy.
Well, that's just true.
Crap.
You tried to make me feel better.
That was my favourite PSN of the year. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my life.
God, it was funny, wasn't it?
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Trying to get a broken module to work.
Mind you,
I think the unboxing of the cables was the bit.
Oh, the cable, that was so funny. Yeah, there's a difference between 1 and 10, isn't there?
I really enjoyed the regen unboxing because it was real.
Yeah.
And it was a good
painful.
thing. No, it was a good thing.
Well, it set everybody up to what to expect as well.
Yeah. It was a goodie.
Anyway, so there we go. Thank you for that, Steve.
Love it.
Yes, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more comedic episodes of old men unboxing new synths.
Yeah, don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah. Actually, we could do an unboxing next week.
Oh, can we?
Yeah.
And I think we might be slightly more competent in that regard. But yeah, more on that later. Right, okay. So we've only got like 40 minutes to go, and I think we're going to need every single minute of this to decide our top 5 hardware synths. Now, before I come to you guys, this time I'm going to go first to the poll on our website, or should I say on the Facebook page.
Yep.
We should really sort the website out, but yeah. So anyway, here we go with some suggestions and votes from the French jury. Let me just bring this up here. So we want to go like that, and we want to go like that, and we want to pick that and do that, and then once we're there, we go here, and we head to the station. There we go. So it's easy. It's easy. Right, so let's start at the very top with the Udo Super Gemini which I believe is the most popular amongst the public. Yep, 25%. Shortly followed by the Groove Synthesis third wave. And it's worth pointing out here that the third wave did launch in 2022, but most of the keyboards didn't start shipping until 2023. But we can excuse that and forget about all of that and just say Groove Synthesis third wave desktop, because that did launch. So that gets 20% of the vote. So I'm willing to give it a buy, shall we say? And yeah, that can be, we can consider that because the desktop came out. So that got 20% of the vote, and then joint third, it looks like the Expressive E Osmos, which finally started shipping this year, and of course the legend that is the Yamaha Montage M8X, which we all know we are big fans of. Following up behind that was the OBX8 wasn't 2023, so that's gone. So that we'll remove that from the poll. Sorry, Pat, but that's too late. What have we got? Analog Solutions Maximus, the Behringer Pro 800. I'm hearing a lot of people really, really enjoying that. Not maybe my cup of tea, but a lot of people are enjoying that Pro 800. Analog Solutions Maximus is just a work of pure, unadulterated, mad genius from Tom Carpenter. Everything he does is brilliant. I had a go on it. It's fantastic. And I think Ty is still, collecting up the Kleenex after he used his. It is just a marvellous, wonderful, wonderful thing. Steve Sims here put in the Roland S1 Aira Compact. I don't think we can count the Phantom EX expansion, although it was an interesting and good expansion to the Phantom range. Well, we'll let it lie there. Trigon 6, yeah, that was 2023, wasn't it? That got 5%. Uno Synth Pro X from IK Multimedia, that's on my list. I only got 2% there. UBXA is on there, even though I think they've only just started to reach customers, if at all. Another Behringer unit, the Cobol Expander. Again, lots of people saying nice things about that, although I haven't really experienced one. And then right down at the bottom, Mr. Longhurst, you threw this one in there, and I completely agree, is the Kodamo Mask 1, which I think is a brilliant and very underrated instrument. And I can't really understand why it's not getting as much love as I think it deserves. But yeah, that's a brilliant instrument. So that's what the great public thought. Let's now go. Who hasn't been first? I've gone first. Kent, you haven't gone first.
Go first, Ken.
All right,
I'll go first. I go first. Okay.
Favourites.
Well, Osmos.
Okay.
I like my Osmos. I'm still actually struggling to actually find a place to put it in any of the projects, but we get there because me and the engine are not the best of friends. Yeah, it's a lovely piece of kit. There's no two ways about that. And it's even better now because there's a new firmware update that's just come out for it.
Okay.
That fixes how it senses and calibrates the key bed instead of constantly going, key 41 doesn't work, and you have to hit it a couple of times with a hammer, and then you go, oh yeah, no, it's all right, it's there. So apparently they've fixed that now, so that makes her a giggle. At some point, maybe we might see some plugins that might come out that will actually support more of what that does as well. That would be nice, and that would bring
the potential's definitely there, isn't it?
Exactly. Now, I don't have one. I'm being, shall we say, encouraged to get one by a certain bald person. But obviously the Super Gemini.
Yeah.
My excuse is I don't have anywhere to put it now. But I've listened to videos of it and gone, ooh, I say, lovely.
Yeah.
So that's definitely on there. It's a lovely piece of kit. I'm not entirely sure about this, but the Behringer System 55 came out this year, didn't it? And it's actually,
I don't know. Yeah,
I think it is. It's actually really good. It is really good. And it's. Well, from what time I've been able to spend on it, I've enjoyed using it. It's really, really nice, and it's got me into Eurorack. So I'm going to be taken down a dark alley one day and just in a sack and just kicked to death, I suppose. But there you go. So my Eurorack bug has now been activated.
Yeah.
And then there was that. Oh, what was that little?
Apparently, according to Wagyu, System 55 isn't a 2023 release because the modules have been on sale for some time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Wagyu, bastard.
So that's removed.
But that's okay. That's okay.
All right, no, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Play by the rules then. There was this. Oh, and there was this little keyboard I bought.
What's that?
Well, I was a bit disappointed because I wanted a Genos,
Yeah.
But I got this MX thing, and it's all right. I mean, I can't do my, as everybody knows. I mean, the people who were buying all my ballroom reggae tracks that were doing so well. Of course, I can't do it now because I apparently bought the wrong keyboard.
You've got the wrong keyboard.
It doesn't have
if it's looking for a home.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean,
But in all seriousness, yeah.
And cut to the chase. It's got to be this girl. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I have no negatives about it whatsoever. Anywhere in any department at all. It's a beautiful piece of kit. It really is.
Anything else, or is that your lot?
I think that's enough for now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Mr. Longhurst, can I have your suggestions, please?
You can. Well, I didn't include the third wave because it was last year, and because when we discussed it, the desktop version doesn't have as many immediately assigned controllers
Not per
as
function
the
things,
keyboard.
yeah.
So I think it is a stunning synth, and I'd love one. I might have to sell part of the house to get one, but it's not in my list, and it's only because not this year, and I wouldn't have the desktop version. I just wouldn't.
Okay.
But it's a great synth. So that's not in. What is in? The Udo Super Gemini is definitely in. It's a wonderful instrument, and it's. I saw someone post earlier, but I can't remember who it was now, that unboxed it for the first time, and they posted up on the group a photograph of the manual introduction.
Oh yeah, from George. Yeah,
from George.
I think it was Carl that posted that. Yeah,
I think it was Carl. Yeah, and it says everything about it and all the stuff. I know it's actually a digital. It's a digital synth, but with analog filters and whatever else. But God, it sounds good, and it's everything is there and immediate and wonderful, and it gets me as excited as a kitten in a bag of butterflies. It's just a lovely, wonderful, gorgeous sounding thing. It's got to be in there. The other one that I'm still just stupidly and deeply impressed by is the Kodomo Mask 1. I think again, because we had the Expressive, which I'll come to, the Osmos. The Kodomo did something that no one else has done, and it came up with a different way of synthesizing, and it looks stupidly simple. It's got one little window to see what's going on, etc., but somehow it has won my heart, and I know you love it every time you touch it, and the people that do use it adore it, and that is something which I would really sell the other half of the house for, just because it's different. It's very, very different, and I like the sound engine on it. It's a really, really good sound engine, and I love the keyboard.
Yeah.
What it's doing with keyboard stuff. The Osmos, I'm a bit conflicted by it. It's on my list, and it came out, after much being heralded for a long time. It came out, and lots of people were screaming for it. And when it did, everyone was saying how wonderful it is. My only thing with the Osmos is I'm still not sure about the sound engine for it.
Yeah,
I think as a controller, it's fripping brilliant. But I mean, perhaps Kent, we can talk about this more. In fact, why don't we talk about it now quickly? What's your thing on the sound engine? Because I've not been completely blown away by it.
No, I'm not a massive fan of the. I mean, everything else about it I love, but yeah, the sounds and yeah, it's not. What's the word? It's a bit harsh for me. For what I do, I mean, it probably will sound beautiful for somebody else in a different genre of music, but for me, I'm finding it a bit spiky in places, and very sharp and digital. But sometimes that's a nice contrast. But generally, it's a little bit too plinky, tinky, dinky.
So for me, that kind of almost removes it from the list. Although it's a really, it's a hotly anticipated. I'm not sure it delivered quite what it was going to. So yet, I mean, maybe there's firmware updates coming that will deal with that, and maybe there'll be a different sound engine. But right now, it's not at the top of my list. Another one which was introduced to me by Ty very recently was the IntelliGel Cascadia. It's a really expensive piece of kit, but it's absolutely stunning what it can do, and the way it mixes East and West Coast sound engines, and I've just been looking at it and thinking, I can't really afford it. I may have to go over to Ty's and play with his, but then I'll be there for the next 6 weeks, because it's just a mad piece of kit that does some really, really lovely things. But it is a very expensive, monophonic, lovely thing. So I'm not sure if that excludes it. The next one you're going to be really, really screaming at me for, the Behringer Pro VS Mini. It's 89 quid. And I know we're not supposed to do that, but 89 quid for a VS, and it's a good sounding thing. And I just think we need to think about having a budget something in there. I'm sure people will scream at me. And then my last one, you'll be probably surprised to hear, is what's it? That the M8X. We talked about this all year. Once they announced the old montage was going, and we spent ages just on almost every show between that and it actually being released, talking about what we'd really like, and none of us believed it would happen, which is essentially a replacement for the CS80, and all sorts of numbers and things were bandied around. Just for the ANX engine, it's worth every penny. But it's also polyphonic aftertouch. It's also got the FMX engine in there, and it's got the AWM2 sample-based engine, which, by the way, the sample sets in there are astonishingly good. Yeah. They're really good. The effects are great. My one gripe is it doesn't have the bounce back on the keyboard, which is a real pain, because I kind of want that for some of the Hammond stuff and piano things. That to one side, and the fact that it doesn't have a long ribbon strip, I think it's a perfect instrument, and I think for me it is definitely the instrument of the year. And I think if you play with it, as soon as you play with it, you'll get it. You'll just go, oh, right.
So, yeah.
Right. It's a stunning thing. It's exceeded all my expectations. So that for me is the puppy.
Cool. Okay. Well, here's my rather lengthy list. I agree with you on a number, both of you on a number of things. Udo Super Gemini, let's just get that out of the way. Played it at Super Booth. It was just lovely thing. Really expressive instrument. That was the first thing, and that's the one thing. If an instrument strikes me very early doors as being expressive, then you've won half the battle for me, and it really did. It's just a beautiful thing to play. Sounds amazing, and I'm sure at the price it is pretty damn good. I was surprised at how affordable it was. So yeah, that definitely gets my vote, and I think will undoubtedly make the top 5. Kodamo Mask, or Kodamo, should I say, Mask 1. I think it's hugely underrated. It might not be for everyone, but it does something different, and I really like what it does. And again, from an expression point of view, I don't think it's worth paying all that money just for this particular feature, but the whole slurring of notes thing and the way that it figures that out for you, and you just play and it does this wonderful thing, and it really surprises you, but in a really positive way. And I know that some people will not like to have the synthesizer dictate how a performance goes, but when it does it so nicely and so intuitively, I really liked it. And yeah, it's small and it's white and it looks really nice and it's very, very well made and it's well supported. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Groove Synthesis Third Wave, I think I agree that, you know, the desktop didn't bring anything new to the game. I think it's an amazing synthesizer. I would almost kill for one. I'm hoping at some point that one of those will be in my life, because I desperately want it. It makes the sounds that I love. I love digital. I love that kind of stuff. And it sounds just really, really great. Maximus, I've got to say that, you know, Tom just makes brilliant things, and he's a brilliant human being and deserves all the recognition that he gets. And I loved it, but it is a rather large and rather expensive thing to have. It's definitely not every man's synth, it's every Thai synth. I know he's in the chat, I can see you. Behringer Pro 800. I haven't got one, I've never used one, but I've heard some being played, and I see what lots of people say about them. And a lot of people say, hey, look, you know, it's a polyphonic analog synth for not a lot of money. And that's good, as you say, with your choice for the Pro VS Mini, which I respectfully, wholeheartedly disagree with, because I think it's a horrible, cheap piece of crap that sounds nothing like the machine that it's trying to ape. On the other hand, the Pro 800 is, again, it's an affordable synthesizer, but it delivers so much more, in my opinion. I'm not too keen on that pocket thing.
So we'll swap those out, because I originally had the 800 in there, but I just thought I'd see if I could get something in.
That's just my opinion.
But I agree. I happen to agree with you.
The one that was on the list that hasn't been mentioned by either of you guys, and I'm not. It's not a criticism at all, but it's the Unosynth Pro X, because I think they finally got it right. Because the Unosynth, the little baby one, was cool, slightly flawed, but it was a cool idea, but it wasn't quite there. Then they did the Unosynth Pro, and yeah, they fixed a bunch of stuff, but it still wasn't quite there. The Unosynth Pro X, with all of those hands-on controls, and having got ditched pretty much everything that was bad about the rest of them, I think they finally nailed it, and I really, really love that synth. It's a really nice, unique synth. What else haven't I mentioned? Our friends at Sonicware did a couple of really cool things this year, and there's some really cool things coming from them next year. But this year we had the Liven Lo-Fi 12, which is it's a I'd say it's a one-trick pony, but it's appealing to kind of a niche market, but it's nice, and it does what it does really nicely. I kind of like that. And their Texture Lab, and I'm seeing more and more people raving about Texture Lab. Even Richard Devine last week posted a video up on his socials how he's just saying, I can't believe how amazing this thing is. It's really cool. The Texture Lab, I think, maybe not so much an instrument as it is. It's not even an effect. I mean, it's kind of it's this weird combination of both. I really like it. I really, really do. And it's a shame that the ELZ One Play didn't make it this year, but that's okay, because we have these awards every year. So that those two things. So those were the ones that came to my head when I was thinking through all of this, and so we're going to choose our 5 from our list, and I think if we look at the public vote, if we say, I said straight off that we would accept the third wave desktop, but I'm going to personally just push that to one side, because I think we gave it. Didn't the third wave get our best hardware synth of last year? I can't remember now. I really should know this stuff. But we'll leave that
definitely
one.
Definitely up there, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this is not this is not the winner, but our first shortlisted choice is got to be the Super Gemini, because we've all said that, and the public overwhelmingly voted that as their favourite. Okay, so that goes on the list. And I didn't mention the Montage M8X because you guys did a perfectly good job, and that really is, for me, is one of the greatest releases this year. I know people will say that I'm biased because I'm a bit of a Yamaha fan, but as Andrew pointed out, when the announcement was made that the original Montage was no more, we then went on this speculation spree, and I think I probably convinced both of you to buy it. So I'm kind of responsible for your financial. So I think Yamaha owe me at least a little bit of commission.
I didn't help.
And that as well,
No.
Exactly. So I think that Yamaha's Montage, and I think specifically the M8X. I mean, I haven't played the others because I only had eyes for the M8X. I did play it, so I don't own one, but I did spend a lot of time and got some funny looks from the staff at Yamaha's flagship store in Soho when I was sat there for a long time talking to Kent and talking to other people. So this is bloody brilliant. I need to steal this. It's a remarkable thing. It's this. I, like many, I've seen this comment pop up in the chat. The Montage, even the original Montage, was never a workstation, and I thought it was. For many years I thought, it's just a bloody workstation. I paid it no attention whatsoever, and I hate to say this as well, that it was Ty Unwin that categorically told me it's not, you know how he shouts, it's not a workstation, it's a proper synthesizer. And so I revisited and looked at it, I thought, shit, he's right. It is. And of course the M8X has just expanded that with that wonderful ANX engine, which is just stupidly good. So yeah, that's definitely going to be top on our list of 5. Okay.
What else? So
What else have we got?
Can I just give a steer here, because I think with so many having come out this year, it is going to be difficult. But for me, the measure is what's still going to be a classic 10 years down the line. Yeah. And I think once you start measuring against that, you kind of go, well, you know what?
So Ken, Osmos, I think Andrew's convinced me, and I think I've seen some comments in the chat that have convinced me that Osmos is probably better as a controller than it is a synthesizer, because the engines that currently come with it are not maybe quite where we would want them to be.
Yeah, I think that would be a relatively fair assessment.
So I'm happy to
It is good.
discount
It is
that.
a good engine. It's just, but it's not my cup of tea.
Exactly. And I mean, I stood with Ben, right, in the Bungalowdorf. Oh, look, it's got my thumbs. In Bungalowdorf at Super Booth this year.
Yeah.
And we were side by side, and I was like going through the patches, and Ben was playing them because he's much better at playing than I am. And I sometimes wondered if I'd actually changed the patch, because there were lots of patches that sounded kind of much the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because it was playing to the the headline features of the hardware. And
Yes.
and that was my thought about the engine, that there was a lot of samey sort of thing. Oh, there's lots of bloody Middle Eastern sounding things. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but there's just lots of them.
Yeah, an awful lot of them.
Lots of big sort of pads that, very Hans Zimmering, and it was just like, oh, okay, and there's another one of those, oh, there's another one of those, and it just seemed like, okay, maybe they've spent more time concentrating on getting the hardware right, and that's good. So maybe next year we'll see some good.
No, we need to see the editor. Right.
Yeah, exactly. You need to make that editor simple. So I think we should discount that. So that leaves us with... What does that leave us with? It leaves us with... two of us talked about the Kodamo. Or Kodamo. Oh, no, I just get it wrong. Kodamo. So two of us talked about that.
I talked about the Cascadia.
Cascadia, yeah. I have absolutely no experience of that whatsoever, so I couldn't say... I have no opinion on it at all.
Okay.
Which, is neither here nor there.
No one mentioned the Yamaha finger drums.
They would have come under best production. Yeah.
Okay.
Clever little thing, but yeah, it's had its chance. Sorry, too late. Doors shut.
Genos 2?
Yeah, up yours.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
What do we have left that you think should be included?
Well, I personally, I would like to see consideration for the Uno Synth Pro X and the Mask 1. I also think that the Behringer Pro 800 should, because I've seen so many people be very happy with that.
It's a good thing, but it's not going to win.
I know, I don't think it'll win, but I'm just thinking, at the moment, I'm just thinking, what's going to make the top 5? And we've only got 3 slots left.
So we got the Montage, the
Kent's
Super
got
Gemini,
all of his in bar the Osmos.
Super Gemini, and then it's the Mask 1 or the Uno Synth Pro X, it is a good thing, I have to say. We did give it very favourable reviews.
I mean, some people say it's a little expensive for what you get, but it is a proper hands-on, twiddle your knobs, very little menu divey stuff, and it also comes with a software editor and librarian that you can use as a plug-in, and it's an all-round really good thing, and I think they finally got it right.
Then there was one thing none of us mentioned was the Roland, what was it, the 4D.
Oh, the SH4D. No,
SH4D.
That's true. That's true.
Which is a really good thing. It's a really good thing.
Again, I've not had any hands-on experience of it, but it didn't really make me go, ooh.
No.
That's probably why I ignored it. But
so, should we put the Kodamo Mask 1 in?
I'd like to,
not?
but I don't want to force my opinion. So
I love it, but Kent, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was all right, actually. I like that sort of that auto articulation thing that it was able to produce, which it's got me into bit harmonics so much.
Yeah.
You want to see more of that kind of thing coming.
Well, I'm not going to argue. Mask 1.
Go on then.
Okay, so we've got 2 slots left.
Well, you were talking about the Beastie that Ty has.
Oh, the Maximus, yeah. I mean, that's just such an impressive achievement.
It is impressive, but I think, what was it he did earlier? Was that this year as well? The previous...
Oh, Ample.
Ample.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. That's nice.
See, that would be more this kind of one. I don't think there's enough feedback yet on the latest one to put it in, but Tom does make some extraordinary stuff, and it's nice to support people that are as genius as that and small sort of beer. But so I mean, there's that. We could put that in instead.
Yeah, I'm not averse to that. So
what
go on.
The last one is, what about and this is a sort of left field one, what about Richard has been really impressed with the Roland Phantom, the latest ones. I don't know if they came out this year or not, but he's been really impressed. He's toured them around.
The ones that came out this year were the the light versions, wasn't it? Or
Okay.
That might have been last year. I know somebody mentioned the EX upgrade, but that's an upgrade to an existing instrument. And to me, that kind of doesn't count.
So let's have a recap of where we are at the moment.
So, synths that we've talked about but haven't included in our top 5, and we only have one space, is Uno Synth Pro X. We've discounted it. So, Sonic Ware's Texture Lab and Lo-Fi 12, the Behringer Pro 800, the IntelliGel Cascadia, and I hate shudder, but you mentioned it, the Behringer Pro VS Mini.
No, let's drop that now. Let's just drop that now. It was thrown in just so we could say we weren't
so
being
IntelliGel Cascadia, Uno Synth Pro X, the two things from Sonicware, and the Behringer Pro 800 were the last things that we were considering there.
So the Sonicware stuff, good though it is, aren't classics. They're not going to, they're
and they're not easy
think
things to navigate. So yeah,
probably remove those. The Pro 800 ain't going to win. It's a good thing, but I'm not sure that.
But I just wonder, an instrument like you said. I mean, part of your reasoning for the Pro VS Mini was, something that was affordable, that delivered a lot. And I think that the Pro 800, even though it is like 3 times the price of the Pro VS Mini, it's still, for what you're getting, is this polyphonic analog synthesizer for a few £100. So I still think it ticks that box of being a very affordable thing that delivers a lot to, to those that want to go down that path. I think
it does, but is it one of the best hardware synths for this year? And the answer is no,
probably not.
But it's a good synth, and it's a good cheap synth, and it's great that we've mentioned it and talked about it. Let's move on.
Okay, no.
So
by the way,
Uno
Ken,
synth.
Any input there?
No, I'm pretty much agreeing with what you're saying.
Okay,
to be honest. For me though, I think it's either going to be the Super Gemini or the M8X, really.
Yeah, well, we've got both of those on the list. We just want one. We just want one to fill position 5, and then we'll choose the winner.
Well, you know what?
So that leaves us with the Uno Synth Pro X.
Yeah.
Or the IntelliGel Cascadia, which I've had no experience with. So that really is the last two that we've got.
Now, I love the Cascadia, and I really deeply want to get in with it. Get in amongst it and play with it. It's very expensive, but it does do something that nothing else does. But I think it's incredibly niche. I'd like to have it, but I'm not sure it's for. I think it is a synth. It is one as a synthesizer. It's one of the best of the year. It really is. As a synthesizer, hardware synth, it's astonishing, and just sort of scratching the very surface of it at the moment.
Okay, well, let's say if you chose that and I choose the Pro X, what will you choose, Kent?
I think for a more general appeal and good price point, probably the Pro 800. Would you believe?
Okay, so we still have three different answers.
Split.
Yeah,
Three-way split. So okay, let me try and simplify it a little. The Cascadia I adore, but I don't think it does have general appeal. But it is an amazing synth. So and maybe it's the Uno is more available, more. It addresses a different audience and is more immediately sort of, you don't have to have your chops about you to get to understand it. Even though the Cascadia is sort of semi-normal and you can do plugs and things, but it's not necessarily for everyone. Although I would definitely give a right arm for it.
Yeah.
So I'll also suggest the Pro X, because it has moved on such a lot from where it started.
Yeah.
And I think now they've got it right. It's a good thing, and it sounds amazing.
Are we in agreement then?
yeah.
Okay, Multimedia, you have reached the esteemed heights of the top 5. So the Uno Synth Pro X. Right. Okay, so this is the hard one. Which one of these 5?
On there. I want the Cascadia. Okay.
Which one of these 5 is going to be our best hardware synth? We have the Udo Super Gemini, the Yamaha Montage M8X, the Kodamo Mask 1, the Analog Solutions Maximus, or IK Multimedia's Uno Synth Pro X. Gentlemen, what do you think?
Super Gemini.
Andrew?
I love the Super Gemini
Yeah.
M8X, without a shadow of a doubt. It so exceeded my expectations and met all of our expectations for what we hoped it would be, but knew it wouldn't and didn't dare dream of. And it's done that, blown it out of the water. This is a classic. So is the Super Gemini, but this particular model, this particular beastie, I certainly would give the Super Gemini house rum every day of the week, but this is the one. It is.
Okay, so we have one for the Super Gemini and we have one for the M8X. Okay. For me, it's between the two. And I've played both, own neither. So I don't really have any massive skin in this game. I have experienced both. I've played with them for a reasonable amount of time. I've listened to demonstrations and watched demos and so on and so forth and what have you. I like the fact that the Gemini is clearly inspired, although not a clone of, the CS80. I like, the fact that you've got the kind of the two engines nicely placed at the top there, very, very CS80 like. It's got a wonderful keyboard. It's got poly aftertouch. It also has the one thing that the Montage doesn't have, and that's a full-size ribbon strip, which does make a lot of difference. And if you're going, as Kent said to me yesterday, if you're going to do something that is inspired by the CS80, you kind of got to have that ribbon strip in there. So for me, I was a little disappointed that the M8X didn't have that. It had everything else, but it didn't have that. The fact that somebody that I respect incredibly well, who worked on the Montage, is saying to me, Gemini, 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 makes me think, that's a thing. However, as much as I enjoyed playing one of them, I enjoyed playing the other one more. And I think of the two, there is one that I would personally enjoy playing with more and get much more out of. I'm worried now because people are going to jump on me. But
so
no,
here's the
no,
thing.
no, I've made my choice. My choice.
But here's the thing. I will just quantify this.
Go on then.
Qualify this. Either of them deserves it. Either of them. And yes,
absolutely.
I am biased, but I have, I think the Gemini would be a worthy winner, but I just think this has knocked it out of the park, and it does so much. But if it's the Gemini, I'm happy with that.
I mean, if one of them was like ridiculously expensive and way more than the other, then
here's the thing.
There's only about 500 quid between them, isn't there?
Yeah, and this isn't ridiculously expensive. We were talking, once we heard the Montage was out and we started sort of having wet dreams about whether or not a CS80 would come, and we all knew it wouldn't, or perhaps it might, and I suggested chipsets, and we had all sorts of conversations. And then this landed. I would have paid $5,000 just for the ANX engine in this package. I would have paid that. I would have paid that every day of the week. The fact that it's also got the FMX8 and the upgraded AWM2 engine, and the sample set sounds amazing, is amazing. You can, I just think every day of the week, this is my favourite. But I'd really get it if you chose the other. Really, really, really would.
I do want to point out that at no point has my affection for the brand of Yamaha influenced any of my thinking about this. That could have been a Roland or it could have been a Korg. If it had all of that stuff in it, I would have still been hugely impressed by it. So, not saying what my decision is yet because I'm still teetering on the edge. But yeah, brand nostalgia, loyalty, none of that is coming into my thought process. I'm thinking about two instruments that if I had them here, which one would I end up spending most time on and getting most out of? And it's really difficult.
Ken, give us your thoughts about both.
I look, I'm looking to buy both anyway. Well, buy the other rather. Now, admittedly, as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned with the Super Gemini, I'll be buying that, taking it out of the box, setting it all up, and I'll just be playing it, and I won't need to do anything to it or anything. But I've already ordered a ribbon strip for this to get it to do the same, to get the experience from it that I want. That's you see, it's like the difference between, like you go into a restaurant and you order your dinner, but you get this really, really lovely drink with it, and it makes the dinner seem better. The Gemini's the drink. This is the dinner. This is all right. You got everything that you need in a box. But what's going to be the special part of the meal is going to be the Super Gemini. I want to get this Super Gemini. It's not cheap, and I've already got a CS80 here, but I still want to get a Gemini. And because I listened to it and just went, and it's that, control per function kind of appeal as well. That makes a hell of a difference when it comes to making sounds up. It really does. If you've got, if it's control per function. And as much as don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore this thing. As much as I love my Hydra, I adore this. But Super Gemini's going, so when you get me then? When you get me then? So unless you go for we'll have to make it a joint award. I'd say at this point Gemini, because it's come out from nowhere. If you wanted to be picky, you could say that the M8X is an update of the montage, whereas the Gemini is sort of like, boing, look guys, And I don't know whether that gives that more credibility or not, but
I think, bearing in mind when I bought this, the Gemini was on sale then as well, and I could have got that. I chose this, but it's a preference thing.
I think
this will I think this will continue, as will the Gemini, to be a classic. I think they'll both be classics for a long time. I've seen people in the chat saying 10 years time, blah blah blah. They'll replace it, but it doesn't matter. It still works. They replaced the CS80 with the DX1 in pretty short fashion.
Yeah, but what I always get this feeling that there's something very, very personal about that.
Yeah, it is.
That way that thing was built and designed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
I've made my decision.
Go for it. Tell us.
Udo Super Gemini.
There you go then.
Yep.
Okay, so that is our number one. That's our winner. Our winner of 2023's best hardware synth.
Yeah, I think
Udo Super Gemini.
In fairness, I think it should be the Gemini.
And I think it's because it's one person's dream.
Yeah.
They've put it together. I think. Yeah.
But I do want to say that the M8X is everything except, well, it's almost everything I wanted it to be, and thought it would never be. They really did, surprise me. I said that, I think I remember saying back at the time that the next montage has got to have this analog engine in, which it did. That it's got to, it's got to trade off of Yamaha's immense and illustrious history, particularly the poly aftertouch aspect and the whole CS80 vibe. It's got to embrace that, because somebody said to me, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Manny actually. Manny said, can you imagine how these people in Yamaha are feeling in these past few years when everyone has been coming out with things that they used to do and nobody else did, and now that they're kind of having their noses rubbed in their lack of
development.
Yeah, and I that's a fair point. But so Yamaha, they didn't get it completely right. They almost did. Ribbon strip would have been nice. Personally, not a big deal for me. I mean, I was using the little ribbon strip, and I was getting, it wasn't the same. I mean, I've got a ribbon strip on my Polybrute, and I love that on there. I think that's great. So that would have been nice. But I think they pretty much, ticked every other box. And it is kind of like this amalgamation of lots of different things. And it's kind of a jack of all trades and master of most. But it is a fantastic, fantastic instrument. And I really, really want one.
And here's one more thought, which is Yamaha won't care.
No.
Whether or not we award them.
This is
for
true.
something. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it deserves it. I do think it deserves it. But so do I think that the Udo, it deserves it. And
so
he will care.
You definitely get the you get the meat and potatoes with the M8X. You really do. It's a beautiful sounding machine. The Super Gemini is the Yorkshire puddings with the gravy on. But I mean, the two machines together as one, one setup. Yeah. Holy shit!
Yeah,
it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and expensive, but beautiful.
So
just to reiterate and give you the final. So our best hardware synth of 2023 is the Udo Super Gemini, and those that also served Yamaha M8X Montage, and the Kodamo Mask 1, the Analog Solutions Maximus, and the IK Multimedia Uno Synth Pro X. And thank you indeed, Simon, for your wonderful donation. Please keep up all your good work, because I do watch your stuff at the EMOMs, and he can make a Modi X work very nicely. But thank you very much for your donation. Much appreciated. So, ladies and germs, that is our awards over. I will post all of these up at some point on the Facebook page, but just to remind everyone that our top hardware synth for 2023 was the Udo Super Gemini. Our top plugin for 2023 was an unprecedented joint award to GeForce Software's Oberheim OBX and Cherry Audio's PS3300, and our top music production tool was the Ableton Push 3. And there were others that served, but I'll post those lists up. And what we will try and do is get a nice little graphic made up with the the virtual award, and we'll get those sent off to the manufacturers, and hopefully they'll put them up on their pages and be happy that we've thought well of their work this year. And I want to say that to the people in the industry, if any of them watch this show, what an amazing year 2023 has been, and you've come up with some incredibly good products, especially in an environment as complex as we are facing in our world today. That you guys and girls are producing brilliant tools for to fuel our imaginations and creativity. So every single one of you is a winner, as they say.
Yeah.
But obviously there are some that are better than others. So there you go. That's it. So we've gone over time, which we always tend to do on the show because it is kind of very free flowing. It's the 29th of December, so we've only got a couple more days left of this year, and I don't go in for the whole cyclical thing, as I said at the top of the show. January 1st is just the day after December 31st, and nothing starts again, nothing gets reset. We still face the same problems we did before, but we human beings do like to draw lines in sand and have marker points that we can go back and say, hey, this time last year we were doing this. This time last year we were probably pulling in live viewers or a live viewer rating of probably half of what we currently have at the moment, which is just shy of 150 people watching this show live over 2 hours on a Friday evening, where most people probably have lives and social things that they do, and they choose to sit in front of us. And then there's all of those other thousands of people that watch us beyond the live show, and they watch us on catch up, and they do all of that stuff. So that's amazing. So in terms of people watching this show and enjoying what we do, we've grown, and that's year on year growth, as I hear all the time in my day job, is a good thing. And it's all organic growth. It's not like we've bought a whole bunch of people in from somewhere else. We've grown organically, and that's down to you guys, Andrew, Kent, the audience.
I think
people
it's
that
the audience have been, all the people viewing, all the guys guys and gals that and others that log in and view. I mean, they add so much to this. And I think we've got one of the best audiences out there.
Absolutely. It's a great community, and that's the one thing I always think about.
Great community.
I always think about this thing as a community, and nothing encapsulated that more than Super Booth and Gearfest and Synthfest and all the other shows that I ended up going to this year. And you see a lot of the same faces. You see a lot of faces you don't normally see, but other than on a screen somewhere, and you're like friends. Just like that, and it's brilliant, and you everyone looks out for each other, everyone cares for each other. I mean, the outpouring of love that we saw when one of our own, Dom, passed just over a year, or it was around a year ago, wasn't it?
Dom,
indeed, the outpouring of love and support that came out of that was just unfathomable, and it was brilliant to see, and it just epitomised what this whole community is, and we are just one small part of that community. It's not just us that do shows, it's people like Nick Batt and his team that do the Sonic State stuff, and it's not just the weekly stuff that he does, it's the reviews, it's all the live roving reporter stuff that you'll see him working his sweaty little bald head off at, doing some amazing work and spreading the word. You've got the likes of Ramsey on a Saturday afternoon. You've got Jamie on a Sunday. Who else am I missing here?
My pub every other day.
Kent's pub. Kent's pub is another extension of that community.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got all the e-mommers. I mean, blimey, I have nothing to do with e-moms. It's not my thing. I'm not of that persuasion. But my God, I'm so impressed by the people that perform at e-moms, that put on the e-moms, that live stream the e-moms, and that thing has blown up this year massively. So that's amazing to see, and it's just going from strength to strength, and it's a real pleasure and an honour to just play a tiny little role in all of that. Doing the seminars that I did this year, and having people come up to me that I've never met, but I know from online, and saying wonderful things, and it's just very humbling, and I just love being part of it. That's and that's why we do it. We're not a business here. We're not a profit making organisation. We've all got jobs and careers and things outside of this, which I think is what makes us a little different from some others, in that we're not here to sell you stuff or advertise stuff or get money from people. You make wonderful donations that help us keep us on air and do the things that we can do, and I thank you all so very, very much for that. And I want to say a big thank you also. First, before I do that, we've already done Simon, thank you, sorry to get another mention. Andrew, another £5, thank you very much indeed. The audio engineer, who I met at an Indian restaurant at Sheffield. You see, this guy came up to me, shook my hand and said, "Hi Rob, blah, 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 love what you're doing, blah blah blah." And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And then he told me his name, and then he told me his handle, and then it all kind of falls into place. But that's great, it's wonderful. Torsten, all the best for 2024. Thank you very much indeed for your £10 donation. And he misses that Dom couldn't join. We all do, absolutely.
Yeah, very much.
But I want to say thank you, to everyone that has donated to our show, to our funds. They sit in an account and they get used for this channel and nothing else. It pays our bills, it pays all that kind of stuff. The other thing, three things that three people I want to thank is I want to thank Andrew Longhurst, who has joined us this year as a full-time presenter.
Oh.
And it's great to have you and your knowledge and your experience and your perversion with Range Rovers. It's fantastic, and we love you for it. My old mate Kent Spong, who I didn't actually believe existed many years ago. I thought he was a figment. I thought he was just. I thought he was just this name that people threw out there and said, "I'm getting my stuff fixed by Kent Spong." It was like a euphemism or something. But actually, it turns out he's a real person.
And a euphemism.
Really?
And a euphemism.
Yeah.
He's a mystery wrapped in a
enigma.
An enigma. That's it. Yeah, one of those things. But no, mate. You know what I think of you. And you guys make this enjoyable every Friday, and sometimes other times. But yeah, so thank you to you guys. Thank you to everybody that watches. Thank you to everybody that has watched, and also, of course, we mustn't forget Ben, who isn't with us and hasn't been with us for some period of time. But he's a very busy man, and he, especially this time of year, it's crazy busy for a band like his, who are one of the premier sort of live 80s tribute acts. I don't like to call them tribute acts, so that almost sounds like a tribute. Has a negative connotation, I guess. But
yeah.
But you know what I mean. This, his band is incredible. If you ever get the chance to see Electromantics, go and see them. But massive thanks to Ben, because Ben does all the graphic work that we do. We have, all those thumbnails, these award things, all of this is Ben's handiwork, and he spends a lot of time doing it. And I feel terrible sometimes because I'll email him 2 or 3 days before and say, I need a thumbnail that has this, this, and this. And then he'll knock it up and send it straight over, and he's incredibly good like that. So, thank you to everyone that's been involved in the show. Thank you to everyone that's come and said hello. Thank you to everyone that's watched, whether you're watching live, whether you watch on catch-up. I hope to see all of you at some point in 2024, whether it's at a show.
No one likes you, though, Rob. You do know that.
Well, yeah.
No one likes you.
But I hope
no one.
that maybe somebody might.
No.
Well, a little bit.
I do hope to see. I hope to see Richard
Squan.
Hilton. Richard Hilton's joined in the chat, and I hope to see him at Latitude. Because that's my backyard.
I love you, Richard. You're
I love you, Richard. Can I have some free tickets, please? But literally, that is in my backyard. So.
And whilst we're on it, just one more thank you, just one more, which is you, Robbie. You've carried this thing since I've been involved. You've carried this, and whenever you're not here and we do it, we try to do the best we can. But you do this so well, and you hold the whole thing together. So for this year alone, thank you, mate. Thank you. Really good job.
Yeah, good on you.
You're as ugly as sin. You're not as pretty as me or Kent, but
you know what buttons to push.
Thank you for turning up at least.
Well, for me, it's fun, and I've done.
At least Ty's not here.
Well,
yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. Actually, we need to thank the people that have stepped in last minute sometimes to help us out when some of us have been away doing other things or have been ill.
Mike Metley,
Dr.
Andrew
Mike
Brooks.
Metley, Andrew Brooks, Ty Unwin. I'm trying to think, have we had anything else? But I feel like I'm on one of those award shows. I'm sure I've forgotten somebody's name, but you know who you are. Please, you do know who you are. That we appreciate everyone's support, whether it's coming to stand in.
They're a bunch of no.
Yeah,
they're
lovely
all
people.
of them.
Lovely people.
No, none of them. Oh.
Anyway, Graham's told me to get on with it because he's watching Barbie after this, so he wants to get into that. It's well worth it. It's a good movie. Thank you. We will see you next year, and we'll see you here next Friday, and hopefully next Friday we'll have some lovely new things to talk about because the the machines will start churning again, and we will have some new hardware. Hopefully, if FedEx don't mess this up. So that would be cool. And
you missed your agent when you were thanking people.
I wish I had one. If I had an agent, I wouldn't be doing this show, would I?
You don't need an agent then.
Okay. No. So there you go. Yeah, there is nothing like a long goodbye, and this was absolutely a very, very long and extended goodbye. But hey, it's the end of the year. thank you ever so much. That's all I can say. Thank you to everyone for this year, and we go into 2024 with renewed vigor, and we will hopefully change things up a little bit, make it different. We'll see. And that's about it. I think I've said everything I wanted to say.
It's time
to say goodbye. So we'll be back in 2024 next Friday with the show as per usual. Have a fantastic new year. Have a safe new year. Be with your friends and your loved ones. Don't be silly.
Don't fall into any rotating blades.
Don't fall into any ponds.
No dropping testicles into wood chippers.
None of that stuff.
Yeah.
Just stay indoors. Put whatever it is you want on the telly, and then
stop worrying the nuns.
Stop worrying. Just stop worrying. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I should think so too, Richard. Richard Hilton says sorry. Yeah, I should think so.
Yeah,
I don't know what for, but
Anyway, thank you once again, and have a fantastic new year. Take care, everyone. See you next year.
God bless.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.